Today I was meeting with a seller. We're about to put their home on the market and we were discussing the various costs associated with that. And my seller asked, what about closing fees? So yes, there are closing fees associated with the sale of any property. Who pays them, either the buyer or the seller, is pretty much determined by what is customary in that area, and it can actually vary from one county to another and even one city to another. Some of the standard fees include the cost of escrow, the title insurance, the cost of origination fees associated with the loan, also county transfer tax, city transfer tax, and the commissions that are paid to each of the agents on the buyer side and the seller side. So let's explore how these vary a little bit. In my county, San Mateo County, it is the buyer who pays for the escrow fee, and it is my county, the buyer, who pays for the title insurance. And this can vary. Now, the loan origination fees, of course, are paid by the buyer because it is the buyer who is securing the loan. However, sometimes this can be negotiated. I'll give you an example. So let's say that the buyer and the seller are in negotiations and the seller said, I really don't want to reduce the sale of my property. However, I will give you a credit towards your closing costs. So what this means is when it's time to close escrow, you will basically see that the costs reduced to be paid by the buyer are reduced by that credit amount, and that credit amount, of course, would be that much less out of the proceeds that the seller is going to acquire. So that might be something that is negotiable between buyer and seller. Now, the other fees that come up are county transfer tax, and in San Mateo County, they're paid by the seller. And then there are the city transfer taxes. And those are usually paid in our county 50-50, shared equally between the buyer and the seller. Again, that can vary city by city. There also is the commission. Now, commissions are almost standardly paid by the seller. Those are the commissions that are paid to each of the realtors in this transaction. So it would be the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. However, sometimes prior and early on in the agreement and prior to this particular escrow or purchase, the buyer's agent has negotiated with the buyer an additional percentage to be paid to them by when the escrow closes. Now, if that's the case, the seller would be paying the bulk of the commission, but any additional commissions might be, in fact, something paid by the buyer. As I said, this was previously agreed upon. So the bottom line is this. There are closing costs associated with any sale. Who is going to pay them, buyer or seller, varies by whatever is local and customary. And then also, this too can be negotiated. If you're in the type of market where you have the negotiating power, these fees may be something that you would like to negotiate as part of your terms. Now, I hope this helps. And if you're looking for more tips about selling or buying, please check out my website, which is maryannt.com, or you can always call me. 650-399-5505.